ZP here, joined once more by the one and only Bren for day number 2 of Overwatch Contenders Season 1 in EU. And Bren, we have 2 teams here contending and looking to make a mark on the scene.
Absolutely, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, as everyone's very familiar with them, Contenders Season 0 came second. And now they've got a lot to live up to. But with these roster changes, we'll see how well they actually can perform in the midst of it. Singularity, been looking pretty hot recently. I've heard some rumors, through the grapevine. A few bits and bobs about them being, a step above maybe some of the other teams. But today is the proving grounds, I suppose.
It certainly is. And of course, the key theme that we've been seeing here in Contenders so far is that a lot of these teams have been going through roster changes where they have been optimizing their team setups for this next round of competition. And of course, not only do the players want to do well here in Contenders, but they want to make a name for themselves as players that could eventually go on to higher levels of competition like the Overwatch League.
Absolutely, yeah. This is really what it's all about with the Contenders, proving that you are good enough to be competing at the highest level here and now. And here we have it. Nepal is going to be the map, I believe, first section here. Singularity and 1, 2, 3. What are we predicting composition-wise, ZP, coming into this? What do these teams sort of prefer? Well, it's definitely probably not going to be attack Torbjorn here, but who knows? Maybe Singularity just want to throw.
Maybe this is the day that he really builds out his dreams, Bren. We never could be sure. But if you took a look at Contender Season 0, what we saw from a lot of these teams, including 1, 2, 3 and Singularity, was effectively a lot of the dive composition where you would run multiple DPS characters, a Winston Diva, and go right in. But as we see here, we are going to be seeing both teams running out with a Tracer 76 composition, so nothing too much different from the norm.
Very much a mirror composition for these 2 teams. Double hit scan, pretty standard stuff all around. We're going to see them rotate around, looking for that initial entry pick value. That's what they're looking for. Get that first kill to get the ball rolling. The control point itself not quite unlocked as it stands, but we'll soon find out. Jenny falling quite weak as well, and as it is, they're just poking and prodding and eat my dust indeed.
Well, what we're seeing right now from Singularity is that they do have better positioning on the point early on, but they lose Mendez very early. Finzi striking deep with the Helix Rocket, and now 1, 2, 3, they're able to flow right into Singularity. They get the first 2 kills, and Singularity, though they're still in this fight, they won't be for long, as Stillo and Finzi coming out here with a bang.
Yeah, I think a lot of doubts people had with the 1, 2, 3 sort of roster with these changes they made. They brought Happy Cool in, they brought Finzi in, taking out Kodak and Mistakes as well. Mistakes, one of the standout players. There's a lot on the line, a lot of question marks as to how well they were going to perform coming into this. Now, here against Singularity, Singularity may be, I guess you could say, middle-of-the-table team when it comes to Contenders Season 1. But we'll soon find out now they're heading into the next fight, ZP.
Singularity going to dive in, and they're going to answer 1, 2, 3 with the Sound Bear here early on, but Nerfed going to fall very quickly here as 1, 2, 3 maintains dominance. Singularity, though, they double down. The Transcendence is out, and 1, 2, 3, they're doing this very well right now. They're going to counter the Transcendence with a Sound Barrier and simply hold their ground, get kill after kill here, and though Craggy is trying to make things work, it's just not happening as Snillo takes him down from the back.
Yeah, they're going to reset that fight one. Singularity just going to be waiting for the next move, waiting for the ults to get built up. And a couple of Transcendences were exchanged in that previous fight, so they've got a little bit to work with, but a hefty amount of time already capped up for 1, 2, 3. About 50% and counting, and they do have ults now as EP to work off.
They do have some ultimates here to work on as we see 1, 2, 3 still holding on control of the point. Singularity now coming up the side. They do have the tack visor up, so we'll see if Mendez can find a way from space, but deep inside Singularity from the other end, it's Snillo into the back line. Pulse Bomb is armed and connects. Down goes Lind early on, and this is a nice stay of control here for 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff all around, just using the ults. Pulse Bomb, one of those ultimates you can just throw out whenever you like. It builds so quickly, so rapidly, you can just use it to turn around these initial engagements. Very powerful ability in itself.
So for now, 1, 2, 3, not really being challenged too much here. 84%, Singularity will be down to their final attempt to retake the point here in just a moment. Finzi sitting pretty here in the back, not much pressure on him, but here comes 1, 2, or Singularity on the way back in.
Yeah, they're looking to try and contest this one up right now. 95% and counting kills going to be flowing across either side here. 99%, the overtime will tick down, but already losing 2 of these players. You're going to see a Sound Barrier committed now by Singularity as they try and even this one out. They are getting a pick here and there, along with a tactical visor from Mendez as he tries to clean up for the rest of his team and secure it and at least flip this. So they're not going to lose this initial round as the players from 1, 2, 3 will fall.
Well, Bren, we were in overtime, but Singularity not going to go down here without much of a fight. They will reflip but now they're in the situation where they must be perfect. If they lose another team fight here, that will be the end of the round, and 1-2-3 will be taking it. 1-2-3, they have very significant tools coming into this next fight, where just simply using Transcendence and diving into Singularity is going to be somewhat difficult for them to deal with here.
Absolutely, yeah, you're completely correct with that one. Post-bomb comes out from, I believe that was Snilo there. Doesn't quite connect onto the target he was looking for. Transcendence comes, post-bomb committed by Craggy, but again, just going to be connecting onto that bubble there. Not quite finding the damage they were looking for, and with the sound barrier used by 1-2-3, it's looking quite promising for them as it stands, EP.
This is actually not as bad for Singularity. Well, now it's a little bit worse. Where Singularity did have a very good disengage to begin with, they could have come right back in, and they are for now. However, 1-2-3 in the dominant position right now. They have the numerical advantage here on the point, and it's going to be up to Craggy right now. Dashing in and around, trying to make an opportunity here, but really not getting much of anything as slowly but surely the rest of Singularity getting taken down as 1-2-3 well on their way to taking this first round.
Ooh, okay, that kill onto Kellex, that might just seal the deal for them. Didn't quite get off the sound barrier he was looking for. Singularity desperately trying to contest this one. The Primal Rage used by Nerf to just buy them a little bit of, just a sliver of time so the team can get back into the fight. The post bomb by Snilo will bring down Mande, and as they lose more and more of these players, EP, it's just looking futile.
It's looking pretty rough, but Singularity, they are not holding back. They come right back in. Sound Barrier's in, and Craggy now striking blood. It's been somewhat of a slow round for him early on, but would he be the hero? Perhaps not, as he gets pooped right in the face.
And with the overtime ticking down, just one player remaining, little old Kellex sitting up high and mighty on top of the point. It's literally like 1-2-3 playing with their food, and that will be the initial round here for Nepal, going to 1-2-3.
So Singularity showing some signs of life there towards the very end. It was a rougher start for them, but this is a case where we have seen teams make comebacks here on Control. But Brennan, is worth noting that in this season of Contenders, Control is 2 out of 3, not 3 out of 5. So if they will be coming back here, they're going to have to do it here on the Sanctum.
Absolutely, yeah, this change is going to be throwing a couple of these teams off, but again, they've got to adapt, they've got to be flexible when it comes to it, and they're not going to be playing as many rounds as you mentioned. So one more round for 1-2-3 will mean that they are going to be claiming this initial first map. Now, Singularity, are they going to be striking back? It looks like, again, sticking with a very similar composition as to what they were before. The double hit scan, again, traditional sort of dive on either sides.
Well, we do see a swap up here from 1-2-3 where Haffy will be coming in with the Zarya, and Zarya is newly buffed here in this patch. Graviton, much harder to get out of. Escape's disabled when you're stuck in it, and Box opens up big. Mande going to go down early on as 1-2-3 is looking pretty good here to start things off.
Could you have asked for a better entry kill there onto Mande, straight across the map? That's a little classic boombox maneuver right there, just fully charging the orbs off, letting them go, and with that, the point should be theirs. You're going to be trying to recommit this one now. Singularity trying to burst their way into the opposition, but Hafikul, running that Zarya, very effective against the D.Vas. The defense matrix just can't quite soak up the beam damage.
Well, right now we see Singularity trying to put more of their focus here on the point, but Snillo having none of it. He is the tank destroyer, cutting through that front line of Singularity. So far, 1-2-3, Bren, is giving Singularity no quarter.
Absolutely, this is phenomenal gameplay so far, what we're seeing from them. Definitely what we came to expect from the old 1-2-3 roster, but as I mentioned before, a little bit of question marks being raised about how they were going to be performing, but I think really these questions have now been settled initially. Again, not calling it too early, of course. We do have several other maps, but 1-2-3 as it stands are playing it phenomenally well.
Well, to your point, Snillo is filling some big shoes and mistakes, where mistakes used to be on 1-2-3, the Star Tracer, but Snillo has done very well here so far. Now, we take a look at him. He has the Pulse Bomb charged up and at the ready, going around the flank, instead going to dance, a little bit of a dance here with Craggy. Backs up with the rest of his team, though, as Singularity is diving in rather deeply.
Interesting tactical visor being used by Mande, and he does actually collect the initial kill. Snarl's just playing Ring Around the Rosies around the point as it stands, and he will get brought down. The Discord Orb doing the damage, and Craggy just finishing it up. Contesting the point, Singularity trying to fight to that one with that initial pick onto Denir as well. It should be theirs to claim.
Singularity getting a little bit of stability here, but it is more of the same in a sense here, Bren, where Singularity, they had a slow start on round number 1. They have a slow start here on round number 2. What do they need here to solidify now that they have control?
You say that. They're really struggling against Happy Cool's Zarya, is funny enough. And although D.Va has the defense measures to try and eat the Graviton, and speaking of Gravitons, he's looking for a Happy Cool, wants the opportunity to go in with it, and this could be big for 1, 2, 3.
You never want to throw your Graviton into a waiting Korean super vacuum, so Happy Cool playing some mind games right now with the opposing D.Va and Danny. He wants to get a good Graviton here, but he's showing good patience, and finally drops the Graviton in. It is a group hug moment here for Singularity, and that therapy has failed. Everyone falling as 1, 2, 3. It's a clean sweep.
Absolutely textbook stuff right there. All the burst damage. Not even Kelix's sound barrier could save them from that one. They had the pulse bomb, the Helix rocket, so much burst damage in that AoE. Did not stand a chance. However, needs to be said, a lot of ultimates were expended there by 1, 2, 3 to try and secure that one out. And Singularity have them to come back in with. They've got the pulse bomb. They've got the self-destruct to force the positioning, as well as the primal rage.
If Singularity wants to give themselves some room here, this is a fight that they need to win. They're not wasting much time. Diving deeply into 1, 2, 3, but 1, 2, 3, they just disengage and hold their ground. The pressure is on Singularity to get them to the point. 1, 2, 3, Bren, they're more than willing to just dance here repeatedly while the point is still in their control.
Oh, Mandy with a tactical visor. He's just trying to prolong this fight out. He's picked up 2 kills apiece for him. As long with this own primal rage, Singularity should be able to flip this one out as the last final few players will fall. But still, it's a big hill to climb right now for Singularity in this last possible chance for them. Getting these picks is going to be helpful for them, but again, they've got 50% to work up to try and claim this round.
Singularity, this has been a better showing here so far, but they are down to their last life, where if they're not able to successfully defend one more fight, that will be it. They must be perfect from here on out. And of course, just replay the good Graviton from earlier from Happy.
Wonderful stuff indeed, and he's already built up another Graviton surge for this next engagement. Wants to be going in with it again. You don't want to be running it straight into the defense matrix, but look at that! 2K from Craggy with the pulse bomb, set them up. He follows it up with a few bullets, just pellets, going into Tonic, brings him down, and Singularity will win out that engagement.
The sleeping beast has awoken. Craggy was one of our players to watch early on when we were talking about the series, and now perhaps he's waking up here for Singularity. We are heading into what could be the final fight now of this round. Both teams at 90%, and of course, that's how Craggy made the magic happen.
Here it is now. As you mentioned, ZP, the final moments of the round. This could be it. Transcendence going to be leading it in early on. Again, this Graviton by Happy Cool connects as well. Not actually Aiton. Is the burst damage there? Not quite. Only going to be displacing them for the time being.
It was the Transcendence. The Transcendence there was not letting Happy get as much as he wanted, and now it's down to the wire. 5 on 5. Singularity, they dropped the beat, but only 2 players benefit from the music. 1, 2, 3. The pressure is big. Happy Cool fully charged up on the flank. Melts Mendez right down. And now 1, 2, 3. Trying to maintain control, but it's Craggy keeping some hope alive.
He's going to let it cap it up. This is smart by Craggy. Doesn't want to try and fall. They've got a few seconds now. With Craggy still in the field here, ZP, he can just dodge in and out, get the overtime ticking over, giving his team that one last breath, that one last hope.
Well, he does touch the point right as Nerf leaps in as well. His Primal Rage is ready, and he's going to unleash the beast, creating some chaos here onto the point. Snillo, meanwhile, on the back, is in. Pulse Bomb at the ready, but Mande is mowing everyone down, including Snillo. He wasn't lying, Bren. Everything was truly in his sights.
Happy switching to D.Va in the final moments. He realized he wasn't going to get Graviton, and he's trying to basically stall it out for the rest of his team. The overtime still ticking over. It's getting capped up, but this could be it. Overtime down. Everyone's down from 1, 2, 3, and they will get around and actually not lose this first map. So we're going to one final last round, ZP.
Bren, did you hear that? The huge sigh of relief coming from the desk. Singularity is not out of the woods here yet, but that was a pretty strong round from 1, 2, 3 to open things out. Singularity, though, showing that it won't be quite so easy, and they strike right back.
Absolutely. Now, Craggy just teasing a little bit with the Bastion. That's an old school strat. You do see that sometimes on this section of Nepal. Occasionally teams did run it in the past. I'd be very surprised if he comes out of it now, but this could also be the Doomfist coming out to play. They're just teasing us, of course. Kellex, he wouldn't switch off Lucio. Players don't do that. They're stuck into that role for the rest of their lives.
Please, are you going to leave? Will there be a Bastion on the field? Craggy?
They're teasing it. They're teasing it.
Wait, he hasn't swapped yet? He hasn't swapped?
They're actually doing it.
Yes!
Oh, here we go.
Oh my goodness, it is on. That is a Bastion on the field. Mangachu from back in the day would be proud. And now Craggy, he sets up here on the Bastion. The Gatling gun is in play. Winston, do you want to dive in on this? The Zarya Shield will keep him up and alive as Craggy now under a bit of pressure and yet still very well protected.
They're struggling to burst through because that biotic grenade coming out for them. A lot of burst heals, but look at that Snilo into the back. Gets the headshot, kills there to bring him down. Now with that one-man disadvantage, 1, 2, 3 can look for the kills, the follow-ups, and they will find them. And as a result, they will claim this first initial engagement as well as the point.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Bastion dream is dead. Craggy now is moving to everyone's favorite time wizard. Whatever you want to call Tracer, he is on it. Next time. Next time.
That is a cutesy play, but it's almost like 1, 2, 3 actually read into it. They're running the Zarya, Vinci on the Zarya himself, as well as Happy Cool on the Diva. A lot of damage mitigation to sort of prevent that. But as we're heading into this one now, Singularity going to start rotating round. Again, looking for that entry frag to try and work their way in.
And they drop the sound barrier here early on. Ooh. And there's the Graviton response early as Snillo. It's a big bang combo. He finishes what Finzi started.
That is phenomenal stuff. And look at this stagger as well. The baby diva, Danny's just trying to survive. He wants to jump off the edge. He wants to be with the rest of his team. And my goodness, that was wonderful stuff. Finzi, that's the power of having, again, it's sort of just not seen too much in the recent days at least. But when you're running the Zarya, that big bang combo, it's an absolute classic with the pulse bomb and the graviton, the cleanup potential, as you can see here, the 4K from Snilo.
Really nice stuff coming out there from Snillo to open that up. And now, Singularity under the gun. 50% already against them. They re-engage here rather quickly, but 1, 2, 3, they get in their face. The Primal Rage is out, and they can drop the beat if necessary. Already up 1 kill as Singularity gets nothing.
This is just a pretty easy fight right now for 1, 2, 3. Utilizing pretty much just the Primal Rage to keep them off to the point. Singularity trying to force out the ultimates themselves. Trying to work off the back of that one, but this point is ticking up and up and up. ZP, 1, 2, 3, and he needs about 25% more now to be claiming this first map.
And this is where you look at Singularity coming in. There's all sorts of pressure on Mandy as he moves in. He needs to land a good Graviton. He needs to not throw it in the Half Equals waiting Maw. If this Graviton does not go well, Singularity likely will not be able to retake the point. So now, Singularity is moving in. They're looking for the opportunity to grab, and there's the grab.
Yeah, they grab against the wall. Quite a smart play to avoid the defense matrix, but unfortunately only catch onto the one. Can they get the follow-up kills? They could try to cap at this point, but it is getting contested. 97% and counting Transcendence from Lin will try and keep them alive for the time being, but these Discord orbs just ripping into them with the power of Snilo as well.
Snillo right now really taking control of this fight, takes down 2, and now for 1, 2, 3, they are in what could be a victory position as another beautiful bomb cuts through the Singularity tanks, and yet Singularity still in this. Craggy, a Tracer of his own, darting in and around. They're down, but they're not quite out.
Not quite, not yet. Still Craggy just trying to basically stall out this point. The overtime ticking over. Kellex will fall as well. It's one of the last man standing. Mandy now making his way onto the point, but he's taking a 1v1 against a very angry Gorilla, just beating into him against the walls. The overtime will fall, and it will be 1, 2, 3, claiming map number 1.
It's always rough when you get caught in a corner trap, not just in fighting games, but also against a really angry Winston. Not quite where you want to be. But 1, 2, 3, we know that they've made roster changes. We know that a lot of people have looked down on them because Mistakes is no longer with them. And yet, the new upgrades to 1, 2, 3 or replacements have worked out pretty well here so far. Having
Finzi on their squad is absolutely phenomenal for them because previously they've sort of had the Zarya play. Obviously we haven't seen it too much because the dive meta has been very prevalent and Zarya traditionally hasn't been very good. The recent changes to her Graviton Surge means that a lot of the characters in the dive meta can't actually escape from it these days. Makes it a lot more better to run. And this is a big addition to it. You saw the damage that Finzi and even Hafiko when he was running it was doing to their composition.
The Zarya play is great, and Zarya's one of those characters where even if she comes out of the meta for a little while, it feels like she always sneaks back in. Yeah. And of course, when you buff her Graviton to where you can't easily escape it anymore, you are going to be seeing teams run her more and see, is this what we really want? And if you're Half Equal, the answer there was absolutely yes.
Yeah, honestly, sublime performance coming out from 1, 2, 3 there. But Singularity now got a bit of time. This is their map pick as they have just lost the last engagement. Not too sure what they're going to be picking here, but it will be probably Eichenwald, as I've just looked over to the monitor and seen it in the lobby. But yeah.
Well, Eichenwald, that'll be interesting going in here. Of course, it was a favorite yesterday where we saw teams decide to go there for their second map. And we'll see if this is a little bit better here for Singularity, where they are a team that has been together for quite a long time. We know they've played together in multiple instances, such as for them being together in the Overwatch World Cup.
Yep.
So coming in Eichenwald, where you can have more setup plays, maybe this will be more their speed.
Absolutely, yeah. Eichenwald is a map traditionally, a lot of high ground when you go into the streets phases and whatnot, can be very prevalent. You can run lots of different sort of compositions, might be fitting more to Singularity's play style, but I still think from that performance of 1, 2, 3, it's going to be very hard to try and take that away from them.
All right, so we are here in Eichenwald, where it's a rustic German castle. Lots of Bastion units strewn about here. Maybe they're going to throw Fraggy from the last round here. You never know.
Yeah, Craggy's performance in that pass. They tried to bring out the Bastion for it, and it just didn't work at all. It's a cutesy little play, really, isn't it? When you try and just bust out the Bastion as a surprise. But 1-2-3's composition was pretty much perfect for dealing with the Zarya and the D.Va. But this time, we're going to see Singularity on the defense here for Eichenwald. Composition-wise, looking like, again, quite defensive against the defensive dive composition, where they're not quite running the Zenyatta. Instead, going to be utilizing the Ana for the superior heals.
They will be using the Ana for the extra healing output. One thing that's really interesting I thought about the fights that went down in the last round is that things did not necessarily go very well for Singularity when Mendez went down early. And we saw that 1-2-3 really was trying to get at him from all ends, whether it was Snillo coming in from the back, Bach targeting him from the front, or just simply their tanks diving in on him. Mendez was finding it really difficult to get openings.
Well, the question I present to you, ZP, is how do you deal with all this burst healing that's on the side of Singularity? And 1-2-3 again look like they are just reading them like a book. The triple DPS, so much burst damage, a lot of potential for them to try and burst through the superior bio grenades, the healing, as well as the Lucio amp.
Well, as far as dealing with the burst damage, it will be interesting in how they try and deal with it. But you talk about 1-2-3 coming in here, it's going to be a blitz where they simply dive in really quickly and go for an early target.
Indeed, they are going to be looking for that one now. Just prodding and poking, looking for weaknesses in the composition of Singularity, just waiting to see what they are going to be running. It's going to see Tonic just testing the waters to a degree, but eventually the call will be made to just dive onto the back lines, and that is the question. When are they going to be doing it? And now is go time.
They are diving right in. 1-2-3. Snillo under pressure early on is able to shake that pressure. However, now 1-2-3, they have to be a little bit careful. Winston died early on, so now you're going to see them back out a little bit, but Snillo able to dive right in, finds Kelix. This evens things up a little bit more as now 1-2-3 gains the momentum they need. Half equal, darting in and around. Has already built 76% to his Dragon Blade. This could be really big for 1-2-3 here, Bren. Not only for taking the point, but also getting momentum getting in the second.
I gotta say, this is looking beautiful right now for 1-2-3. They played that almost textbook. They waited for the initial pick. Yes, they lost the player at the start, but Singularity made the mistake of trying to actually contest in the low end. And look at that, the final contest didn't quite get onto it. They still managed to get the cap points. They will be feeding a few more players to the fire and building up their ultimates further.
Well, that was the worst case scenario where not only do you not get delay, but you also feed the ultimates of the enemy team. 1-2-3 is absolutely on fire right now. They're gonna have the blade and the visor coming into this next fight. Singularity, they're under the gun, and again, pressure is on Mendez, where if he can't find a good visor, it's gonna be very difficult for Singularity to actually withstand it. Here comes Happy.
Happy Cool with the Dragon Blade, moves into the back. He has picked up two already. Is he gonna be finding the third? He does indeed. That is how he does it in Iceland. And now with this, the follow-up, the kills flowing in. A little bit of contention onto the point coming out from them. Kelix just trying to dodge and juke again, ring around the roses, around the point this time, around the payload, and he will get brought down by Fincy's Helix rockets. But that took a bit more time. He was buying some significant time for his team there.
That actually was not bad, where yes, he's going to fall there, but 1-2-3 needs all, or Singularity needs all the breathing room they can get right now. And now you take a look at what they have here. Nano Boost is up here for Lind. You have to think that that's going to be going on to Mendez into this next fight. 1-2-3 though, they're not really phased by it, but here comes Mendez in on the flank. We'll see what he can do.
Important to note there that Fincy actually managed to get the D-Mech onto Danny as they're trying to contest this. Now they've got nothing to stop this tactical visor. They have to pop off their defensive ult. You can see the Transcendence being used by 1-2-3 to try and keep them alive. Fincy just getting knocked about like a ragdoll right now against the Primal Raging Ape in his face. And Fincy, bit of dodging and juking, gets out of the way of it for now. A little bit of a 1v1 meanwhile. Craggy going to be winning that one and coming out on top.
Fincy's played a little bit Castlevania this time with that sort of platform jumping, but now you still see pressure being applied by 1-2-3. Singularity, maybe a little bit of stability, but in the end, the payload is still moving forward. They haven't quite bought enough with that investment of ultimates. And 1-2-3, they're going to be recharged here in just a moment. So this is really do or die for Singularity. If they lose this next fight, the odds that they're going to be able to set a better time in their own attack, very slim.
Really do or die time. Craggy falling, but against the 1v1, the post bomb must have been thrown out just before he died. That 1-for-1 trade, trying to pull it out right now. We see there's also going to be a few ults being popped off here and there, and the fight's still even as it stands between these teams, just losing players. But with that poop off, Denia gets the kill onto Danny, and they should be able to clean this one up and push it in even further, ZP.
Singularity just has not been able to get anything going. This is a case where it's bad enough that their castle is in disrepair. They've been trying to fix it up, and instead they run to 1-2-3 that's just blowing everything to smithereens, and now they're going to have to look at repairing their front door, because though Singularity is coming out and delaying, every last kill is going the way of 1-2-3. This has been bad news for Singularity.
I'm still trying to contest this one out. They've got a few players onto the point, including Danny himself to self-destruct. Not going to be opting to pop in, not going to be using it to try and get this. I mean, they are going to be giving this up and letting it just get to that second checkpoint now as they realize it was a bit futile to try and defend that one still. Are they going to have to catch him out? Ooh, Nerf, he's in a bit of trouble. Oh, that's a huge pick off for them because now they get a bit of a free push in this initial area. Styler, that is greedy, man. Just throwing a pulse bomb and hoping for the best.
Well, right now, with how much 1-2-3 has been taking, why not take a little bit more, Bren? I fully support that greed because 1-2-3 has been unstoppable here, and now there's a freight train heading for Singularity. In terms of what we can expect in this next fight, a Dragon Blade into attack visor. Singularity needs to do something to disrupt this early on, lest 1-2-3 run them right over. Happy Cool though, he's gonna dive in, and the blade is on.
Dragon Blade on the fleek here for Happy Cool. He's trying to find the kills, but his team is stealing them from them before he can actually find them for himself. Now, with this cleanup duty kicking off, it will be them pushing it even further in. And ZP, can we just take a look at the ultimates that were just used in that fight? They only use a sound barrier and a Dragon Blade.
And what that means is that what they didn't use is what's more important here, where the tack visor is up for Finzi. And this is a really nice area where you have plenty of good sight lines. Finzi can hold here in the back, plenty of room. And though Winston is diving in on him, he's not really under much pressure. Craggy into the back, and it's going to be Craggy and Winston diving on Finzi, keeping him out of the fight. But while this is going on, Snillo's doing so much work on the other side.
Absolutely destroying the pulse bomb, just the cherry on the top. Look at that. Picks up the kill onto Nerf. He's putting in the damage, putting in the work. Kelix tries to stall it out to the best of his abilities, using the sound barrier to stall it, but the car is moving in. Only 2 more meters to go, and they will claim it in the end, getting that final checkpoint, and what a rapid time to boot.
1-2-3, making fans and also hurting the souls of our analyst desk right now. That's what we're seeing right now, Brendan. It's really a double whammy. Singularity, though, they have a long way to go here going into this next round where they need to be quick. 2:42 as the time on Eichenwald is in the upper spectrum of times you could ever expect. It is a very good time, which means that Singularity, where they've been getting just out mechanically played throughout most of this game, they're going to have to dig deep and find another gear that right now they have yet to show.
We'll say one thing, actually. Sideshow's going to be happy with this one. If 1-2-3 keep this one up, his predictions have not been looking good, and he did predict them to win this one, so he's going to be happy with that one as it kicks off. But composition-wise, again, not many differences coming out from them. Again, it's a 2-2-2 dive composition, mirror matchups with the hit scan DPS, and they're just sort of running very similar things. Interesting to note, on the defense for 1-2-3, they're not actually running an Ana. Instead, Bok is keeping to his Zenyatta, which in a lot of ways can be much more superior depending on your play style.
But 1-2-3 is sticking more to the tried and true and what we've seen in recent times, and it served them well so far, so why would they switch? Of course, I'm a little bit sad that we haven't seen everyone's favorite man with a very large arm, but that could still happen. You never know.
Singularity making some switches. Of course, they can still change up their composition. They're teasing with the Farah Mercy as it stands, and it could be enough to try and break through. Again, Farah Mercy traditionally is, you do run into issues when you run against Diva players, but also a good Zenyatta players, because they can completely counteract it. The Discord Orbs, the defense matrix to eat up the long-range rockets, because remember as well, Farah, when she's damage boosted up, her rockets, they've got no fall-off damage.
Well, Fair Mercy might be coming in, but look at this dancing that's going on there, Bren. The question is, who is the better dancer between Winston and 76? It's not a very intense competition.
It's really not. They both dance like dads, to be honest. They got the moves going on.
But you know, they're both my idols because they dance better than I do.
Well, that is something indeed. You'll have to prove that to me later, ZP, to be honest, at the club, mate. I'm going to be taking you down there, mate.
Be careful what you ask for. Now we see Singularity in on the attack. The Fair Mercy Dream, not quite going to happen. Instead, they're playing it more by the book, and they take down Bok early on. This early pressure coming from Singularity is pushing 1-2-3 back a bit, but the problem is Snillo is unchained into the back line. Finzi dealing tons of damage from the front, and now, even though Singularity came in with a nice attack, 1-2-3 has been able to stabilize, in part because the DPS players of 1-2-3 not really under much pressure at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty early on in that engagement, 1-2-3 actually did a ton of damage to themselves in the end. No, sorry, to Singularity, and they forced the DPS players back, but they're going in for round 2 now, trying to basically recapture this. They get the first pick off, and it's Bok who claims it against Nerf. Again, not what you want when your main tank goes down. There's a lot of damage mitigation gone, a lot of peel for you. Again, the trade is relatively even, but it's still 1-2-3 in the driving seat, and this is interesting. Look at Craggy.
Craggy right now, he's on the hunt. He's hunting respawns. That's what he's doing right now.
He's going to get it. He is looking for... But his team is just dying in the meanwhile. Like,
really, he's channeling his inner Elmer Fudd. He is hunting Wabbits or Zenyatta's. Pulse bomb to the back does not connect, and the jig is up. People know Craggy is back here, and Craggy's excellent adventure still continues.
I believe they waited. I think Fincy was basically escorting Bocky there when he was trying to come back from the spawn. They knew it. Denny has spotted him pretty early on, so not quite the play he was looking for, but a big ultimates right now for 1, 2, 3 to try and defend this one with. Again, they dive into the backlines, but Mandy has been counter-dived on. He's taking a lot of damage. The beat will be dropped here. 1, 2, 3, but they're losing players thick and fast, CP.
This is rough for Singularity, to say the least. Their engagements have not been on the same page at all. They've been streaming in almost 1 by 1 at times. And then you had, of course, the gambit from Craggy there a moment ago, where I see the idea. It didn't quite work out, but it does set you really far behind when you go for that and it doesn't pay off. Now, Singularity, they find themselves with a minute 53 remaining. But at the very least, they do have quite a few ultimates up. This is their window right now to move in, but 1, 2, 3 can match them point for point.
Absolutely. The important thing to note, Singularity have 2 defensive support ults to use. It should be a superior fight for them, in theory, on paper at least, but they're losing so many players as a result of it. Now we're going to see the Primal Rage used by Nerf to try and basically stall them out in this lower area. Bocky just can't quite find the kill onto him, and look at the damage they're just slamming into them, losing so many players, Izzy.
It's Snillo! It is always Snillo! He got 4 kills in that fight! He has been a monster so far for this 1, 2, 3 team. And this is what we expected from 1, 2, 3 when it was mistakes in that role. But now, what we see from Snillo is consistent power, where he's not under pressure and is able to cut us apart the backline. But, well, that's what we call a curse in the industry right there, because Snillo is down, and this is a big opportunity now for Singularity. They have to be all in.
Well, Lin gets a Transcendence forced out pretty early on here, but this is really going to be one of the last fights that Singularity get to take this. They do get the initial pick off onto Bok as well. Craggy follows it up with a few others, and this is looking beautiful for them as it stands, finding them. But Snallow still on the field, still on the point. Tactical Visor will be committed to try and clean them up, and with the point ticking over, it will be Singularity at least getting this first capture point.
So I think part of what we established there, Snillo is the problem. When you remove him from the equation, you can get in onto that point. He's not invincible by any means. The 1 versus 5 did not quite work out as well for him, but overall, he has been a big boon to this 1, 2, 3 team.
He's a man after my own heart. The 1v5s, it's like me in my Diamond rank games, to be honest. I just go in, Dragonblade, I can take him, you know, 1v5, we can turn this one. But here we have it. Streaks phase now for Eichenwald. Any changes up? We see Hafikul actually going to be moving to the Genji, so it's a triple DPS that they are going to be switching to as it stands. Very aggressive, a lot of burst damage available to them, and a lot of mobility, but what was that?
That was an absolute shutdown from Fidzy, who really had 0 respect for human life, or at least 0 respect for Frankie. One of the 2.
Points still getting contested though. 1, 2, 3 are going for that aggressive sort of forward hold as it stands, and they can't afford to do this one. They got Bok onto the high ground, but he's taking so much damage. Transcendence will get forced out by Mandy, and look at this. Immediately the call has been made to disengage and try and take the fight afterwards, CP.
This is really aggressive coming in from the defense. 1, 2, 3. They are throwing Singularity back, and they are getting their prize. It is a wipe right now in from 1, 2, 3. Don't tell 1, 2, 3 not to go too deep. They have no limits right now.
This is ridiculous. They're just getting torn to pieces. Singularity didn't want to use any ults. It was a good play, to be honest, to try and bait out the Transcendence, take a superior fight, but they just weren't counting on Tonic to just man up and go in there, go absolute mad one with the Primal Rage, causing all sorts of disruption. So again, time being burnt down. Precious time with only a minute 40.
Wait, this is my favorite TV show, Secret Agent Craggy. It's on. I was waiting all day for this. He's coming to the back line. Pulse Bomb is at the ready. Now, just laying in the Pulse Pistols. Not as much as Secret Agent. Throws in the Pulse Bomb and does not connect. This TV show might get canceled.
Soundbarrier's going to be exchanged as well here, and they're going to be trying to take it further forward. Nerf with the Primal Rage. Yu's going to be buying a bit of time along with a whole slew of ultimates by Singularity. They really need to be taking this one, but they're chasing the frags in the back lines. Denia just causing so much trouble for them. In fact, he even brings down Lind in the final moment. Hafikul, meanwhile, just strikes away. Is he going to survive? Not quite. Craggy will finish him up.
I got news. Ratings are in. Secret Agent Craggy is going to get renewed. It's still a thing. Singularity now able to get onto payload and get some badly needed progress. Only a minute remaining, though, for them to get in onto point number 2. And you look at 1, 2, 3, they have both the Visor and Blade at the ready. This would be a great time for Hafikul to just unleash.
Indeed, they are going to be playing on Nerf, though. Look at that collapse straight to the backline. That's what you're looking for, but Hafikul, if he's got something to say about it, Dragonblade will get unleashed, picks up 2 kills for his team, eventually brought down a Nerf. He's on a bit of a mad one himself. He picks up 3 kills as it stands. Fincy, however, has something to say about it. The tactical visor used on the high ground, but meanwhile, ZP, what is this? No contestation from 1, 2, 3. They just weren't paying attention to the cards.
Well, He had the high ground, which is good in Star Wars, not so good when you're trying to stop the payload from knocking down your door. So
don't try it, Anakin.
No, definitely not. All right, well, life yet here for the Singularity squad. 1 minute 30 remaining. They can still find a way to bring this payload to the end. 1, 2, 3. They must play a little bit better here. They do have a Transcendence up, so now they can deep dive if they want to, but here comes Singularity.
Plus one by Craggy, not quite connecting on the targets he was looking for. And ults are available here for 1, 2, 3 to try and delay this one out. Again, look at the timer. 1 minute 20 seconds remaining, and it's looking like almost a full hold. The sound barrier will be used by Singularity to prolong this one out, but that's only going to force out, once again, the Primal Rage and the Transcendence by 1, 2, 3 as they're looking for the frags and find them. They quite practically will, as the Primal Rage from Tonic is just going to be doing cleanup. Mandy uses the Tactical Visor, but to what avail, ZP?
This is a brawl that is taking a lot of time off the clock. This has been good for 1, 2, 3 here so far. Even if 1, 2, 3 gets pushed back a little bit. Singularity, they need to bring this payload to completion with at least 1 second left on the clock. Otherwise, they don't get an attack. So really, they're under the gun here more than you might think, because an overtime victory is not good enough right now for Singularity. So if they're going to make this map a close one, they have to win this next fight, and they must do so decisively. And now,
it has
Craggy
to be clean.
moving in.
Absolutely, as you mentioned, now they might just try and get that kill. Cragg is looking for it. Has the pulse one in hand, unleashes it, but doesn't find the target he's looking for. In fact, it's 1, 2, 3 who want to go aggressive with the soundbar on top of them, finding the picks, finding the kills. Happy Cool is charged up, and he's on an absolute spree as it stands. They find the frags. Only 20 seconds remaining for Singularity. ZP, is this doable?
No. It is absolutely not doable. Not in the least, because even if they bring the payload to the end, they don't get a chance to win the map. Half-a-Cool also has a victory graviton. Goodbye.
Yeah, this is not looking great at all. In fact, they're just getting spawn cut now. Finding a few frags in the tail end of it now. Singularity are going to be getting a few picks, but just not enough time to collect themselves onto the cart, and that will be map 2, going to 1, 2, 3. So, honestly, a standout performance. One thing I want to point out was actually Happy Cool's switches throughout that game. Switching to the Genji in the streets phase towards the tail end, and even in the last checkpoint, the last final checkpoint, you saw him switching to the Zarya. Very effective change as he noticed that they switched to the Ana, so you can cleanse off those bio grenades.
It worked out pretty well where Half-a-Cool was showing his versatility, whether it be on the Genji or the Zarya. Didn't quite see the final graviton, but hey, sometimes you just gotta go for a swim.
Absolutely, this is the play of the game. Happy just gone absolutely crazy with the Dragon Blade time and time again throughout this game, but it really felt like it was almost like Singularity were completely outmatched in a lot of ways. We thought this game was going to be quite close between the roster changes, the roster mix-ups that have been happening recently, but it just wasn't the case at all.
No, it wasn't. And 1, 2, 3, really for me, the hero of this was Snillo, where Snillo came out and was phenomenal. And like I said, those were big shoes to fill.
Yes, absolutely. Mistakes leaving the roster was a big blow to be dealt towards them, to be honest with. And there was a lot of questions. The analyst desk were really just sort of asking, are they going to be able to replicate their previous success in Contenders Season 0?
Well, to talk about the games and also just break down what was a very interesting match, we're going to throw it back to Chris and the boys.